There is a plot by MUHOOZI to finish off those from within the NRM who are not aligned with his presidential ambitions. I normally tell people that there are a lot of people within the NRM who are seeing as if NRM is taking a wrong path when it comes to MUHOOZI attaining the presidency, and they don't align with the character of this MUHOOZI. And MUHOOZI is also hell-bent on fighting them, even if it needs to be done outside the constitution. MUHOOZI came out in a tweet and said a cabinet minister who claimed is a leopard and condemned the great officers of crime intelligence of Uganda police as provoked lions enough and is dangerously close to being arrested. MUHOOZI is insinuating to arrest a cabinet minister. The audacity of the CDF, who is the son to the president, who can do anything outside the law, and they don't touch him. To give you the proper context, that minister is none other than Kainda Otafiire. Because Kainda Otafiire is the one who condemned the crime intelligence officers of the Uganda police, saying that there are rogue officers who have been doing extrajudicial killings and doing things outside the constitution. I did a previous video on that, most especially the docket where Damulira heads. Even Sam Junganda has ever come out to say that once his relatives were abducted, he had to call General Damulira to release them. The crime intelligence unit, the CID, has been rogue, has been settling political scores. It is the truth. So when Kainda Otafiire was leaving office, he put out a tweet warning a new appointee in this office, Ephraim Kamuntu, came out to say, Honorable Professor Kamuntu, I forgot to tell you, please don't tolerate any form of extrajudicial killings, especially by some few rogue officers in the Crime Intelligence Directorate. That is a tweet where which MUHOOZI was replying to. So you clearly see, I've followed Otafiire for a very long period of time. Otafiire doesn't want to share the rogue bad manners of the regime. Remember, he was the Minister of Internal Affairs. He would come out and call out the police. He's the only minister who came out to say that they should be given a fair trial. It looks like persecution, not prosecution. He's the only minister who came out to condemn extrajudicial killings publicly. There are very many ministers who, when they're in office, they protect each and everything, good or bad. Sometimes they even act as a face for it. Otafiire did not put his face there to be a conduit of bad leadership. It is the truth. In fact, Otafiire once even came out to condemn the brutality of MUHOOZI directly. In a clip, he said these statements.
I've made myself loud and clear that certain things that are happening are unacceptable because I was here during Amin's time. You know, I'll recount the dictum of this preacher in Germany during the Second World War. I forget his name. Anyway, God save his soul if at all he has any. He said, when they came for the socialists, I kept silent because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the gays. I kept quiet because I was not gay. Then they came for the trade unionists. I kept silent because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I kept silent because I was not a Jew. When they came for me, there was nobody left to speak on my behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, don't commit the sin of silence. And those of us who are in authority must learn to hear. In Kiswahili they say, asiolewa na wazazi, asifundishwa na dunia. If you don't learn from your parents, you'll be taught by the world. Those of us in authority, if we don't know how to exercise authority judiciously and with caution and compassion, we shall be taught by the society we are leading. We lead. Well, some people want to rule. Me, I don't ascribe to that. We lead with the consent of the governed. Sometimes the governed are wrong. When the governed are wrong, it's the duty of the leaders to patiently explain to the governed where they have gone wrong. But more often than not, the governed are right. Those who are governed, when you see them crying, when you see them jumping up and down, don't suppress them. Keep them in order, but feel their pain. Mama Jua has said it properly. She said, for us, we cried. They cried because there was pain they were unable to express. Until the headmistress felt compassion for why these girls were crying and said, what is going on? And I'm sure the situation was improved. Recently, I've heard of episodes of people being, so-and-so has been arrested. Arrested, yeah, very good. 6 months, this person has not been brought to court. So-and-so has disappeared. Like now, yesterday, today, somebody called me from Mbarara and said a gentleman called Wangomani, Amos Wangomani. A very big cadre, well, these middle cadres who fights from 70 to 9. He's been arrested. Amos Wangomani from Mbarara, just a simple businessman. He was arrested, he's disappeared for 3 weeks. His family went to court. First time he was not produced. Second time he was not produced. Yesterday they went to court. You know what the authorities told us, including Muzei Chiwachi Wanuka, vicarious liability. They said, we don't know where the man is. Oh. Wait a minute. When people of my size, height, and weight disappear without trace, that's a problem. How can a man big as I am disappear without trace? Because this fellow called me in the morning and said, if he's been killed, at least give us the body to borrow. Listen, families are now beginning to call on us to give them bodies to borrow. We who fought Idi Amin for the very reason. Excuse me. Bwana Chwanuka, you are crossing the Rubicon. Yes, and those of us who took up arms to fight against this, don't think there are others like us in our age with the enthusiasm to fight us. Have it upon your heart that if this goes on, we are going to be fought, and I'm too old, too old to change, and too tired to care. You still have 50 years to go. 50 also? Mm-hmm. Me, at best, God willing, maybe 10 or 15. Maybe 10 or 15. I beg you, when you create all this trouble, and you end up messing me up, please, I'm going to dig a grave. Just roll me in and cover. But that should not happen to us.
That is kind Otafiire. So he's paying for those statements. Is he saying the right thing? Yes. Every minister should come out and condemn how MUHOOZI is transacting business. Remember, under the penal code, that serving army officer is not allowed to do politics. MUHOOZI goes scot-free. MUHOOZI can abduct anyone. MUHOOZI can torture. And I know nothing will happen to him for as long as his father is the helm. It's only natural. It's very hard to call your children to order. Even it is very hard, most especially when you want to make him president. So the technique MUHOOZI is using, he realized that maybe it's very hard to sway people to follow him politically. Because some of the time, a person like Bobby and like Besige, he has oratorial skills and the charisma to tell people to a certain direction. Since MUHOOZI lacks that, now is fond of another way, intimidation and fear. Intimidation and fear can also make people follow you, but they may not follow you for a long period of time before they turn against you. And I want to tell MUHOOZI that for a short period of time, you can intimidate people. You can fear by arresting their leaders, by intimidating everyone, ministers, etc. You can get some followers, but in the long run, you cannot sustain them because you only force them to follow you. To show that it is serious, the former General Secretary, Daudi Kawanda, who is now on the Central Executive Committee of PLU headed by MUHOOZI, he came out and said some historical members of NRM who have always had political issues with their boss, President Museveni, some with silent ambitions to replace him, but fear to face him head on because of protecting their bread, prefer to turn General MUHOOZI into a perpetual punching bag as a way of hitting the president indirectly. By doing so, they unknowingly provoked a revolution and made General MK a real factor in Songa. Otafiire has been the leader of this clique, and he has provoked our generation enough. A serving minister cannot utter such nonsense, and Mzee thinks we shall just be happy about it and keep quiet. Why doesn't Otafiire resign his cabinet position if he thinks the government of President Museveni that he serves kills people? Pure hypocrisy and cheap blackmail. When General MK chose to get out and push back against these serial coordinated attacks and schemes against him, they started screaming, "We shall not accept this." So what Otafiire is saying, what Daudi Kawanda is saying, that there are some people with presidential ambitions who are hitting at General MUHOOZI, as if he's saying that having presidential ambition is sacrilegious within the NRM. In fact, it also shows you that authoritarian and dictatorship. Everyone can have ambitions. In fact, if it was a free and a fair election, when General Museveni was going to exit, there would be a fair election within the NRM to choose who will carry the NRM flag. Okay? Secondly, the question should be, is Otafiire raising the actual issues affecting our country? The answer is yes. The CID has been a conduit of settling political scores. Political activists abducted for weeks. Even now, King Zale has been abducted. If not the CID, this is the CMY. Okay? People have always been killed. The institutions that are not supposed to act in partisan politics are being put on the forefront. So Otafiire is raising pertinent issues. Just that these attack dogs are coming out because maybe MUHOOZI is feeling unsecure that some of the historicals are not blessing his presidential ambitions. So he wants to fight them, which is unfortunate. These people don't know the sacrifice Otafiire did. Otafiire joined the struggle. It's not General Museveni who called Otafiire. In fact, they are battled and they met on the battlefield. In a tweet that was done in 2016, once General Museveni came out to say, "I met Otafiire in 1974 during the anti-Amin struggle. I have known him to be one of them on the right path of the movement." So it means that Otafiire fought Idi Amin. They met on the battlefield with General Kaguta Museveni, and they pursued the 1980 revolution that fought Obote.
Because Obote did not value self-determination. He valued the education of the people of the North. And in fact, it did not mean the people of the North, it meant himself.
Such a man who sacrificed his youthful age to fight at least has some little bit of understanding about the revolution, what made other presidents be fought. Sometimes I come out to say that we must desist to talk about Obote and Amin in a bad light, because this regime has done each and everything that was done previously by other regimes. It is the truth. If it's about extrajudicial killings, I've been there. If about abductions, it's been there. It's about forceful disappearance, they have done. It's everything. Tell me one thing that was accused of being done by Obote and Amin that hasn't been done during this regime. There's absolutely none. So MUHOOZI is playing Russian roulette with our country. He will be fighting those he thinks, or those who have come out to oppose his presidential ambition, which is unconstitutional, on how he transacts it. And as transitions nears, there will be casualties. And those casualties will mostly come from within the NRM and the PLU before they come to the opposition. Of course, as is truly Mr. Makindi Kabi Suleiman Magal. If you're into this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment so that I'm motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.